try and lay this out for you as simply as possible. Hey, my friends, here we are again for another episode of Budget Lawns. Thanks for being here as always. I appreciate you if you're subscribed already, and if you're not subscribed, I ask that you'll consider hitting that button down below. If you find this video helpful or useful or enjoyable at all, leave me a thumbs up and a comment as well. All those little things go a very, very long way. So there are so many terms that we hear often thrown around in the lawn care community. Dethatch, aerate, overseed, lawn renovation. And sometimes it's hard to know whether or not those are things we need to do. And unfortunately, those terms are kind of thrown around a little bit too much, especially when you see folks looking for advice and right away, without even knowing a person's location or their grass type, those are the recommendations giving, almost as if to say, oh yeah, I know what I'm talking about. But you really can't give sufficient answers without knowing some very specific things. Really, you only need to know one important thing, and that's kind of where I want to make the distinction today, and that distinction being between warm and cool season grasses. Now, I've talked about this topic just briefly in other videos, but I thought maybe a little bit deeper discussion would be beneficial at this point in time, as there are a lot of cool season folks that are kind of in the thick of things. I mean, already been in the thick of things. It's one of the peaks of their season where people like me, it's the end of my season. We have had temperatures at night in the 30s and 40s with daytime highs only in the 60s and 70s. And if you have a warm season grass like me with Bermuda, those temperatures are no good. My season is pretty much over. The Bermuda grass is starting to yellow and go brown in spots. Dormancy for a winter's night sleep is right up on us. So I have already gotten in my last mow, my last edge. All the equipment has stabilizer run through it. The hoses are drained. The sprinklers are put up. And I am ready to den in for the rest of the fall and the coming winter. But if you are not a warm season person, then there's a good chance you are in the thick of dethatching, aerating, overseeding, or maybe a full lawn renovation. So let's just kind of briefly talk about what those terms mean. Well, to dethatch is to remove the dead layer of grass right on top of the soil to allow the soil to get opened up to more airflow and nutrients. Now, that's not to say that you have to have a zero thatch layer. In fact, a thin layer of thatch is not bad for the lawn. So what does it mean to aerate? Aeration is punching holes in the ground to release compaction and to allow more nutrients and airflow to get down into the soil that way as well. Third thing, overseed. What does it mean to overseed? That means to spread more seed over your existing turf, maybe to fill in bare spots or thicken it up. Now, if you're going to do a full lawn renovation, that means you're going to try to start from scratch. You're just going to kill everything off and go through the whole gauntlet of everything to get yourself a brand new lawn. So cool season folks may do some of these steps in the spring, but preferably a lot of these steps are done by them in the fall. That's kind of the prime time to accomplish many of these lawn care tasks. But me with a warm season turf, I will not do any of these things. As mentioned, I am done for the season. So when it comes to dethatching, I have never dethatched my Bermuda lawn. I don't know how to explain this other than, well, one, I don't have a thatch problem, and two, I scalp it down 2-3 times a year and kind of go down to the dirt, so that helps out to a certain extent. But Bermuda is just such a vigorous grower and such a strong spreader that I am a firm believer that you really don't have to do a lot to it to get it to be a nice lawn. I mean, this stuff will grow on concrete, and I'm not just making that up to exaggerate. It really, really will. So I've never dethatched. Aeration, look, for the same reason, my whole backyard back here is nothing but solid red clay, and I've never aerated my lawn. This backyard came so far this season just by doing the 4 basics that I always preach, and that is just to mow it a lot, water it properly, fertilize it regularly, and make sure I get on a good pre-emergent schedule to prevent weeds. So when it comes to aeration, I have spot aerated some spots. Really didn't see much difference from doing that, but I guess it made me feel better nonetheless. So those 2 things when it comes to a Bermuda lawn, I don't find that they are absolutely must-dos each and every season. Now, the third thing, overseeding. Okay, I've done 2 videos on overseeding this season. One being overseeding Bermuda with Bermuda, and I will leave a link to that video down below. And then I have done another video on overseeding Bermuda with a winter grass, so you can have a green all year long. I'll leave that link down there as well. So some warm season turf folks will overseed this time of year, and they will do that with a winter grass, maybe a perennial rye or an annual rye, just so they can mow and have a green lawn all winter long. That's not something I do, but lots of folks prefer it. For me, I prefer the dormancy, just letting it go to sleep, getting a break through the off season. It makes me get more excited about the next season to come. But when it comes to overseeding Bermuda with Bermuda, this grass, as most warm season grasses do, spread so quickly. They spread by rhizomes underground and by stolons above ground, which make it virtually worthless. Well, I shouldn't say worthless, but there's really no reason that you should ever have to overseed your Bermuda lawn with Bermuda, because it will fill in and spread so quickly that it just does it for you. That will save you money, for one thing. Now, another thing, if you're just impatient and you know what grass type you have, what variety of Bermuda you have, you can overseed it to speed up the process. But for me, my budget lawn's here. I prefer to save the money and the time and just let it do its own thing. And the last thing, lawn renovation. Lots of folks doing those maybe, but they want to change their grass type. They've got, you know, St. Augustine, and they want to switch it over to Bermuda. Or maybe you've got Kentucky bluegrass and you want to switch to a turf type tall fescue. That's a reason for doing a lawn renovation. But that's not something down here in Arkansas that I can ever see myself doing. So what is the point in my doing this video? Well, I guess to put it bluntly, the point is to say that, look, warm season to cool season grasses have different playbooks. Just because the cool season folks are dethatching, aerating, and overseeding this time of year doesn't mean us warm season folks are doing any of that or should do any of that. Because quite honestly, we should not be doing any of that. As I already said, we operate off of different playbooks. 2 totally different grass types, 2 totally different weather conditions. If I tried to do to my lawn with Bermuda what cool season folks are doing right now, it would be a waste of time, effort, energy, and money, because it's all in the name. Warm season grasses grow when it's warm and hot. Bermuda likes it in the 90s and 100s. Cool season grasses, during the summertime, if you don't care for them properly, they can go dormant in the summer just like my warm season grass will go dormant in the winter. So next time someone's seeking lawn care advice, you should ask them 2 questions before you say anything. What grass type do you have, and where are you located? Because if you don't know those 2 things, you really can't help them out. All right, my friends, let's wrap it up right there on this edition of Budget Lawns. Thanks so much for tuning in. As always, we will see you in the next one.